requesting additional appropriations to the SCMR fund and the below listed line items for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
Okay, this is also Ms. Torino. Again, this is money that's been brought in by a contractor and we just need to deposit it. And
Correct, it's just the standing item for excavating bonds. Once the work's been completed, the inspector goes out and checks the site. And then at that point, we're able to return the money back to.
Any further questions, comments?
Motion to send on with a recommendation to approve. Second.
Ms. Lyon?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Moving on to matters not on the agenda. Were there any questions on any of the reports that you were given?
I have not had a chance to review.
Okay. Matters not on the agenda. I have a couple. Where are we at with ADP?
We had a meeting this afternoon to discuss the benefits module as well as an advanced scheduling module. The police department is considering taking their scheduling from Planet, which is the software that they use now, and moving it over to ADP. So it was kind of a demo to see how that advanced scheduling module will work. I think it went really well. The benefits module seems to be pretty helpful as well. There is an additional cost to that though. So I'd have to take a look at it and propose that at another council meeting.
That's the benefit package, you said?
Yes, so basically right now, the only thing that's being processed through ADP will be payroll, strictly payroll. One of the issues that we came across several weeks ago when we were trying to go live is that ADP, because they would be the ones writing checks and we only have one tax ID number, we're not supposed to write additional checks out of the payroll account. So that being said, if we're supposed to be writing deduction checks out of payroll, we can't necessarily do that if they're also writing checks for payroll. So that was one of the reasons the benefit discussion happened. And then we continued the conversation just based on how that module will benefit the employee as well as the city, as far as maintaining benefits and encouraging employees to own their life changes and benefit adjustments and things like that. So it was a productive conversation, but again, there's an additional cost to that. So I have to do a little bit more research before I propose anything.
Is it going to prevent us from going live?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, what is the time frame now for going live?
We're aiming for November 21st.
November 21st?
Yes, and November 21st is essentially a do or die. Because of the way their tax reporting cuts off, that is going to be the last potential go live date for this year. If we don't go live that date, we roll into next year, and there's more paperwork involved and additional steps that we would need to take. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that we've got that buttoned up in time.
Go ahead.
I do have an email out to our time and attendance rep as well. The fire department had very specific questions that they wanted to sit down with her and discuss. We're trying to get that scheduled sometime for next week. And then there's also going to be a second Q&A session with supervisors and their department heads to go into more detailed questions as well. So we're, again, waiting to hear back from her about when her availability is for that.
When will you have an idea of what the benefits package is going to, is that something that we can implement later if it's necessary, or?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
It won't have a direct impact on anything as far as?
Like if we were to go live tomorrow, it wouldn't affect, no, because it's a separate module. So payroll itself, as long as all the deductions and everything are put in there correctly, we're going to move forward as planned. The benefits module is separate. It talks to payroll in the sense that if somebody makes a change to their benefits, it automatically updates in payroll, but it doesn't affect whether or not we go live with payroll.
And if we don't do that module, then it's all has to be done manually. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
By the city? someone
Yes.
in your office. And you said paperwork, so if we miss the November 21st deadline, is that gonna cost the city more money because of the contract with ADP? I mean, I know we're way past the original live date, so,
If there is, I don't have a cost for you, but I can ask that question tomorrow during our implementation call.
any other questions about ADP?
Not on ADP.
Okay, the other thing that I have is, last week I sent you an email. I've not had a response to it. It was in regards to our
Oh, the
general
checking
fund account being
yes.
compromised.
Yes, there was some additional fraud that occurred back in July, I believe. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I will get them to you. Everything has been returned. We've been working with the bank as well as the police department. I believe Chris Adkins is the one that was handling that case. And then a special inspector at the Postmaster General's office also got involved. Reason being, we suspected that a check that was supposed to be mailed to a vendor was taken while it was in the mail and washed and recirculated. So that is an ongoing investigation, but we have not had fraud since then. But I will get you exact numbers.
So I have exact numbers, I think. From July 17th was the first incident, and then there were 5 additional checks for what I come up with right now that I know of for $21,981.25. And I'm not quite sure. I guess my question is, do we have a policy in place to protect our accounts from fraud? Or I mean, we're still mailing checks out, we're doing check payments over the phone. I'm not quite understanding, how are we trying to protect ourselves?
So every year we send out vendor information requests at the beginning of the year, ideally hoping that they will transfer from paper checks to electronic payments, whether that's, them sending us or us pulling the money, doesn't matter. So we send those out. Occasionally we get updated information and they will go with EFTs, some don't. Additionally to that, we have discussed different options with the bank. Right now we are utilizing every option we have available at Fahey. So there's one particular product that's called Positive Pay. A lot of bigger banks use it. Essentially what it does is it takes the checks that were written that day and it compares that report to checks as they clear your bank account. And as long as the check number and the amount and the vendor match, they will cash it. If something isn't right, they won't cash it. Fahey doesn't offer that product as of now, so that's not something that we can implement. But other than that, I mean, we're doing everything we can.
Have we verified our vendor list?
As far as,
That they're all actual vendors? They're up to date?
I mean, I haven't done an audit on our vendor list. I can definitely put that into advisement and take a look at it.
I mean, somebody could send in a request and say they're a vendor. Is there a process in place that verifies that they are a vendor? That they provided the city with a service?
That I do not know off the top of my head, but again, I will look into it and I'll give you an answer.
And then going back to my original question, do we have a policy in place for check writing to, who can, we make check payments over the phone, and I don't think that's something that we should be doing. Check, if it's mail, if it gets stolen in the mail, then yeah, then the postmaster comes into play, and I don't, we're making check payments over the phone. It's not going to a process center, it's going to somebody working at home. Is that something that we're comfortable with doing?
I mean, the way that the process is done now, the only payments that are made like that are to card member services. So that would be credit cards that are used throughout the city.
So-
And I believe there's 2, maybe 3 departments that make payments that way. But the way that it works is we write a check that is the correct amount, has the date on it, routing and account number, all that information. That department then gets a copy of that check and
And
then
then-
use that information to make the payment.
They make a phone call.
Right.
It's my understanding in talking to the departments that do this, that the reason that they do that is because their credit limit is low enough that they have ongoing purchases that they have to make, and the credit card company will not accept a partial payment. It has to be paid in full if you're sending it to the center. If you want to make a partial payment, then you have to call one of their work-at-home people and give them the information if you want to pay like a certain invoice or individual invoices, which is, my understanding is why the checks are being written. Instead of having a bill and the full amount is $700 and you write a check for $700 and you send it to the processing center. They're getting a check from the accounts payable for an invoice and then calling that in to get that paid so that they can continue. Would it not be easier to up the allowance?
For the credit cards, it's within the credit card policy that there's a limit on how much you can use, how much of a limit you have on your credit card.
And in that policy, is that written by council?
I
It's
think
passed by
we
council.
have to approve it, but I think the
Yes.
state is the one who actually writes it.
Okay.
And that's actually to prevent fraud.
Right. Do you have any input?
I have a question. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
When did you become aware of the issue?
In July.
In July? So-
Yes, and as soon as we were notified of the issue, we had multiple employees that were taking a look at it to stay on top of it and verify that
Got it.
funds were returned. If fraud happened again, we made sure that we were aware of it so funds would be returned.
So was the total cumulative amount the 21,981, or was that just the one check on July 17th?
No, it was a cumulative amount.
Got
Because
it.
I know the original check was for Aqua for, I believe, around $6,300.
Right. Not going into details. I can talk to you
Oh.
offline.
There you go.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
And that was one of my other questions. When you became aware of this, did you notify the treasurer?
I did not personally. I'm not sure if anybody in my department did.
No, I checked. Mr. Reese, were you notified that the account had been compromised?
No,
Thank you. Was the mayor, were you notified that the account had been compromised?
not until sometime after.
So, just, there's two major things going on, one of which was expressed very early, that there's an investigation that's still open and ongoing. So we don't want to impede that or hinder that in any way. But what I also heard the committee ask is for the current policy regarding credit cards and how pay-by-phone payments are made, maybe the internal auditor can give a presentation sometime at a committee and make suggestions. It's one possibility.
Is there any other questions?
Not on that.
Do you have another question? Go
I
ahead.
do. So after our last committee,
did some additional thinking about our conversation on the ESID payment that was made in 2024. And I just think that there has to be some cleanup resolution or ordinance passed if we overspent a line item, a pass-through account, by $90-some hundred in '24 and didn't receive the amount of money that we were supposed to receive, and then received more than what we had, I'm assuming, budgeted for '25, and have received $90-some hundred more than what we thought we were going to receive. I'm assuming that there has to be some cleanup to last year and this year's budget line item for that pass-through account. I mean, none has been proposed to us, but...
So it sounds as if, and I'm just, so you would, if, for the activities that took place in '24, you would expect them to be found as findings in the '24 audit. Of course, that happens years from now, right? But, so I would expect that activity in '24 to be captured in one of the soon-to-be completed audits. But, more importantly, through the work that's been done, the ordinance that's been forwarded to council, there are only 2 ESIDs active right now. And now, the other half of this, it becomes more of a budgetary matter for '26. I would hope that the budget preparation process is, we can see what the expected revenue should be placed into the budget coming from the property owner paying the taxes to the county auditor, who then cuts us a check, which we receive. We should know that amount, and that should be in the '26 budget. If by chance that payment isn't made, like happened in '24, then the auditor is obligated to come forward and de-appropriate that money from the budget because the money didn't come in. So you know in advance of what you would be receiving in '26.
Well, my point is that we knew that going into this year, and you budget a certain amount of revenue and you budget a certain amount of expense, and through a pass-through account, then that's going to balance out. So if we are short by $90-some hundred in '24, and now we're over knowingly $90-some hundred in '25, shouldn't we pass something to balance that pass-through account out back to zero in '25?
The legal answer is yes, but that's bouncing the audit books, and that's outside of my expertise. So, but yes, it needs to be addressed, because when you're short, next year's flush, it needs to be zeroed out. And again, you know, the state auditors are going to find that and make a finding if you don't zero it out.
Jason Sharper, Third Ward City Council. I emailed several people about this very issue, and I've yet to receive a response.
If I was one, I have not read it. I know for a while I had problems with my email. Do you have, if you had a specific question for me, I don't know what it was.
So, the email was sent to Mayor, Budget Director, the Auditor. I copied all finance, and I also copied the media because I knew I wouldn't get a response. And it was to deal with this issue right here, and the Law Director. Law Director, I happened to make a phone conversation on an unrelated issue, and we did discuss the email. And we have to make a corrective action.
So who are you expecting an answer from?
The individuals that was addressed in the email. I mean, we're quoted in the newspaper that we give up on communication, and I see why. We don't respond to emails. This is a big deal. This is comparable to the $156,000 IRS payment that was sent inappropriately.
I
It needs to be
could not
fixed.
agree more that this is a big deal, and that's why I'm trying to fix it.
there any other comments, questions?
So one final one on that. Can we expect something from the auditor's office, or is this something that this committee needs to drive?
Regarding the email or?
Well, the email would be between you and him. I don't know who all, I'm talking about some cleanup ordinance.
Yes, I have notes that I need to look into that and see if there's something we need to do and if there is, what we need to do. So I will take a look at it and see what I've got.
Okay.
Anything else? Not, we stand adjourned, 7:28. Is that loud enough?
Yeah, that's much more better than that.
Active investigation, we have suspects.